of inflation according to macroeconomics, or maybe in it, not only according to macroeconomics, just overall. What is the meaning of inflation? Mr. Twambo? Mr.
It's
Kaso?
the rise in the prices of goods and services.
Yes. In the price level, okay? The rise in the price level of goods and services, okay? When the price of a majority of goods goes up, not just one good, it just goes up, okay? So inflation has got one effect, it erodes the purchasing power of money. Okay, that's why they brought in the 200 kwacha note and that 500 kwacha note. Okay, they saw that the 100 kwacha is purchasing fewer household goods or fewer items. Okay, so you have to bring in a bigger note. Okay, so that your transactions can move smoothly. Okay, so inflation, that's one of the effects. It erodes the purchasing power of money. Then, colleagues, between the borrower and the lender, who benefits from inflation? Because inflation also, according to textbooks, says it redistributes wealth from dash 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 dash. So who benefits? The borrower or the lender?
Say it again, sir. Who benefits between the borrower and the lender?
We haven't said who benefits yet.
The question is,
who benefits? For example, you borrow me 5,000, right? And the interest you're charging me is 10%. Okay. Then there's inflation occurs of, let's say, maybe 7%. So what will happen to your returns because of that 7% inflation?
it will not be the same. That's why even the bank restructures your loan when there's inflation, isn't it, sir? So the borrower benefits if it's let's say if it's a loan which is 5 years and there's been some level of inflation and the loan ends at that same 5 years without any restructuring, it means that the borrower will benefit. That's why there's always this restructuring.
In real terms, you put it like this when you're answering such a question. In real terms, okay? Because remember when we're getting the real interest rate, the real inflation rate, we adjust for inflation. So your returns, apart from eroding the purchasing power of money, inflation also erodes your returns. So that 10% return which you're waiting for, then there's inflation of 7%. It means your real return is going to be 3%. So when I'm paying you back, Mr. Kasono, it's like I'm paying you back with 3% interest. The inflation has taken the other 7%.
Yes.
Is that okay, colleagues? Do we agree with that?
I
Explain
support you,
again,
sir.
sir.
Yes, I support you
Me, I
because
think I'll need an explanation again.
okay, because
Okay, yeah. What did you say, Mr. Twambo, first?
yeah, I said I support you, sir. The one benefiting between two people, borrower and the lender, borrower benefits more because of inflation. You find that when we were in the like when we were doing the first residentials, so the lecturer gave us example of betting where you win 1,000 today. Would you like to withdraw that money, use it today, or maybe you use it other time later. So the correct answer was it's better you get that money and use it now because of inflation. So same applies to that one. Once you are getting 3% out of 500 that you gave that person, then it's more like nothing. Maybe it's a 300 kwacha benefit because 7% goes for inflation, and 3% that's the money that you are benefiting from 5,000. So the borrower benefits more in that term.
Okay, let me just iron out what you are saying. Let me just add some flavor and spices because you said a lot, Mr. Twamp. Okay, you said a lot. So I think you've left people more confused. Yes. So basically, Mr. Twambo, he's connecting two concepts, which is a very good thing. Okay, higher order learning. That's what we call higher order learning. Okay, when you're learning a new concept and then you attach it to a previous concept and you see how they relate. So what Mr. Twambo was saying there is basically you say that he was talking about time value of money. It's better to get money now than later. One reason, because of inflation. Inflation will erode the purchasing power of the money. So if you get it later, you can get less goods. But if you can get it now, you benefit more. Is that okay, Mr. Twampo, colleagues?
But sir, again, inflation may go up or down, meaning the person who benefits will vary between the lender and the borrower, isn't it?
Yes.
Or whether it goes up is still the borrower, when it goes down is
When it
still the
goes
borrower. I
down-
thought it depends.
Let's see, when it goes down, let's see. So if the interest rate is 10%, then inflation goes down by 3%. So we add that 3% to the 10%, making it 13%. If it goes down, then yes, the table's 10 then. But here we're talking about when it goes up.
Okay.
And when inflation is going down, that's when you call it what's this deflation. You're talking about the deflation there.
So for
So
me,
just
I'm not
on the
clear.
same.
Oh, madam, you are
You're saying, yes, you are saying when inflation occurs, the borrower benefits. So in the case of banks, let me give an example of bank. So when inflation goes up, so you're saying if I get a loan from the bank and inflation goes up, I'm the one to benefit from that inflation, not the
Yes.
bank that borrowed me the money.
Yes, and that's why Mr. Kasono said that's why the banks adjust their rates because you who has borrowed from the bank, you benefit. Okay, you borrowed from the bank, the interest rate was 10%, and then let's say the inflation rate is 7%. So it means the bank is getting 3% back.
So either
Or
they
maybe
give you options.
just to help,
They give-
sir. Oh, sorry, Mr. Kason. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Me, I can talk. It's okay.
Yeah, I was just trying to also maybe help, but again, trying to make myself understand. If today Madam Yvonne got 10,000 kwacha from the bank and the interest rate goes up,
The inflation rate goes up.
it means she benefits as a borrower because the real value of that 10,000 over time becomes reduced. It's not the 10 pin again.
Yes.
I don't know whether I'm in the right direction,
You're
sir.
in the right direction. We said inflation erodes the purchasing power of money. So that 10,000, when there's inflation, it won't be able to buy as much as you could. Then also the returns, that's the interest that was charged, is also going to go down. So meaning you're getting less returns and the purchasing power of money is dropping.
And the bank, being the lender, are not really receiving the 10,000. it could actually be less.
Yes.
So,
In
so
real
just to
terms.
help, yes, yes, in real terms, that's why that loan amortization, well, because it predicts how much you're supposed to pay. So, in an event that there is inflation, it goes up. The bank will have two options, if I'm not mistaken. Either they adjust the rate, is it the percentage? They adjust. Let's say if it was 10, it will be adjusted to, let's say, 13 or 14, or they give you a longer period of time which you can pay, but you still pay, so that the bank will never, the interest of the bank is not to lose out. They want to achieve what they had predicted.
Yes.
So now, let me just come in.
Please do.
Yeah, like Mr. Kasona has explained, as compared to the first expression of saying the borrower benefits. Now, how then does the borrower benefit if the bank do adjust the interest rates in order to compensate the?
We're assuming, sir, that the bank hasn't adjusted the rates.
Here it's inflation, not
Okay.
the rate.
It's inflation, but they do when the inflation has gone up, they do adjust the rates,
Yes.
so that they compensate for that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, or in all, it balances out. Not so.
Yes, yes. Madam Sylvia?
Yeah.
So I think I'm still confused because I was thinking when there's inflation, and like Mr. Emmanuel was explaining, so the bank will somehow adjust. So it means if I got a 10,000 and there's inflation, if I was supposed to pay a loan in 2 years, I will obviously pay it maybe 3 years time or so, isn't it?
Yes, you pay it in
Because
2
of the so meaning I'll pay more money than I was supposed to pay before inflation was effective. So that's where my confusion is coming in as to who is benefiting, the borrower or the lender. So I think I'll need clarity, just
Okay, wait.
maybe more explanation on that.
Wait, just phrase your question again so that just phrase it again so that I get it fully.
Okay, maybe I'm mixing things up. So my thinking was when they say there's inflation. So if I had gotten a loan and I was supposed to clear it in 2 years' time, and then there's inflation that has been effected, that loan that I was supposed to pay in 2 years' time, maybe I'll have to pay it in 2 years' time because of the inflation. Then if I was supposed to pay that loan in 2 years' time, meaning the money that I'll pay in 2 years' time will be more than the money that I was supposed to pay in 2 years' time, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Okay, I see where you're getting things mixed up. Okay, yes. So in that.
Yes, so I think there's a confusion somewhere.
Yes, you're forgetting one concept. In the example we're illustrating here, we're saying the bank or the lender doesn't adjust anything, doesn't adjust the time when you have to pay or the rate. Okay, so if you're still paying that in 2 years' time, the bank hasn't adjusted any rate or hasn't increased the period, then you is like you're paying less.
Okay, in that way now I get it. Thank you.
Okay. Colleagues, remember communication skills. Always listen and hear the root cause. Okay? Find the root cause. Even when you get confused with concepts, if you can find the root cause, that's how the confusion clears. Any other questions, colleagues, before we look at more terms that you have to be aware of?
Yeah, just on the inflation part, but I'm talking on the investor side. If in a situation, let's suppose I'm buying, I'm for asset, I advocate for assets. So I'm buying an asset for 5 years. Let's say I'm buying a bond for 5 years, right?
Yes.
Should a person always consider for inflation? Let's suppose the coupons are coming in after 6 months. So, in terms of reinvesting, should the person always consider an adjustment in terms of inflation? Let's say inflation has gone up. So, if you are saving 100 kwacha, you also consider, let's say you also adjust to 150 just to cover that inflation. Does it? I don't know if you get my question, but do we also have to do that if you are in an asset buying?
You have to
And
make,
that's, for example, bonds. Are you supposed to also adjust for inflation whenever you are sort of doing, let's say, reinvesting or you're saving? Let's say if you're saving 100 kwacha for December, so there's inflation which has happened, has gone up. Do you also adjust your saving in order for you to cover that inflation?
yes, you have to make adjustments. That's why if you saw when we're doing those questions for time value of money, you'd see when there's an inflation rate, we'll make an adjustment for inflation, getting the real interest rate. Okay. So even with bonds and everything, you have to make some adjustments.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Just remember the key thing here, Mr. Kasson. Your returns will be eroded also. So if you're whatever you're investing in, if your return is 50, let's say 10%, your return is 10%. That 7% inflation kicks in. Your real return is 3%. Okay.
All right, sir. We have learned.
Yes, yes. Okay, other terms you might be aware of are deflation, decrease in the price level. Okay, deflation is good for a short period of time, but if it persists, it's bad for an economy. Why, colleagues? For the consumer, yes, it's very beneficial. Prices keep on dropping, colleagues. We'll always be smiling, right? We're always happy, yes, and want them to drop more. Okay? But now, why is this bad for the economy?
Repeat the question one more time, sir.
Why is deflation bad for an economy?
People will stop
Maybe
spending.
if
Businesses will start
business
making losses.
Yes, yes. So let's put this in order. Yes. Eventually people stop spending because you'll be waiting for prices to drop, right? Remember, if we know that prices, especially if we know that prices are going to drop, like maybe in 2 days' time, you will save that money waiting for the prices to drop, right? So the more you continue waiting for prices to drop, you're holding money. So now, as you are holding money, it means you're not spending. Yeah. So
How how is it possible, sir? You can tell that now the price is dropping down after 2 days.
this is theoretical, Mr. Twambo. Okay, like
Mr. Twambo,
if
maybe an example I can give Mr. Twambo is like the way the dollar is dropping. Some of us were waiting for it to reach somewhere. Maybe that's when we can order cars. For now, we're just watching it first.
just
Now
an
it's
example.
God's favor now, hoping for good.
Thank you, Madam Yvonne.
No, no, no,
That
no,
is an
no.
example.
God is in Gaza, people. God is in Gaza.
Yeah. So, Madam Yvonne, thank you for that. Was a wonderful explanation. Mr. Twambo, you have got the concept right. So businesses, since people are
Yes, sir.
since people are not spending, it means just kindly mute your mic, sir. Yes. So since people are not spending, okay, businesses will have to cut it. All this is theoretical, okay? Once you get the theoretic concept, then now you can apply it to real life and you see, okay, you get a basic understanding of what's happening in real life. Yeah. So as people stop spending, businesses have to cut down on production, they have to now lay off workers. Okay. So you find now unemployment levels are starting to to go up. Okay, businesses are producing less. All right. So deflation is not good for an economy because eventually you have unemployment as your major consequence. You have unemployment. Okay. Other than that, oh, and your GDP will also be affected. Okay, and when your GDP is affected, that's now also going to affect what? The balance of payments, exports versus imports. If you're a big exporter, now your GDP is going down. Okay, it means you're exporting less. Less money is coming into the country. That's why, colleagues, when the currency is appreciating, the central bank or government has to step in and say, we can't let it just continue appreciating because export, the people who are buying from us, it's becoming more expensive on their side there. So it might affect exports. Okay, because this balance of payments, colleagues, is very important. If you've got more money coming in as a nation, that is beneficial. Okay, trade surplus, where your exports exceed your imports. Now, I don't know about now, but Zambia, I think we still have a trade deficit. I don't think we're exporting more. Stand to be corrected. Are we exporting more now, colleagues? Haven't checked. Usually the news is Facebook for me. That's where I always get the news from. So
At least it's Facebook for you. For me, it's people. I even get surprised because I'm not on Facebook.
oh, okay. It's been long since I watched ZNBC News, so yes. Okay, then we've also got disinflation, okay, where the rate of inflation is decreasing. Okay, prices are still rising, but at a slower rate. This is what an economy wants. Prices should rise, but at a slower rate. The inflation level, okay, it should be rising at a slower rate, not at a big rate, but at a slower rate. Okay, because last time we said inflation is also good for an economy, right, colleagues? Why is it good for an economy?
What's up?
It's interesting. I just got an answer from here. Because it encourages spending.
When we know prices are going to go up, for example, like fuel, if we know fuel is going to go up, we see what happens at the fuel stations. Even here, people are expecting fuel to go up, so people are buying food tanks and everything. This is the time to start storing your fuel, colleagues. Get jerry cans, store some fuel, because we don't know how long that Strait of Hormuz will be closed for. Okay. So when people see prices are going to rise, we see that this Iran war, fuel is going to rise and prices are going to rise. Okay. We tend to buy things before the price actually rises. Okay. You tend to spend more. So as you are spending there, theoretically, businesses are booming now. Obviously, the businesses have seen, oh, there's demand here, so they are booming. They can even now increase production to satisfy the growing demand. Okay, so as inflation encourages spending, it then leads to businesses producing more. Then that eventually leads to low unemployment levels. Okay, low unemployment levels. All right. Now that's in the short run. Okay. If inflation now keeps on going unchecked, okay, these businesses are not going to be able to keep up with the production. Okay, they won't be able to keep up. Okay, because remember, you're at the long run. Basically, at your limit, you've acquired what you can, and now stretching your resources now. Okay, so you won't be able to keep up with the rising inflation. Okay, and if the central bank tries to make a mistake of printing more money, what will happen, colleagues? There's inflation and the central bank produces more money, puts more money into circulation. We saw what happened to Zimbabwe. Okay. Zimbabwe central bank was printing a lot of money, but the farmers who they chased, who are the ones who are helping with the GDP, they were chased out. So productivity wasn't increasing, but find now there's more money that's into circulation here. So what just happens now? Prices just start rising, and now printing $5 billion notes, and now moving with wheelbarrows. Hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is the effect of that. So that's a country's worst nightmare. Hyperinflation and deflation. Okay. That the economy doesn't need those two things. Okay. All it needs is disinflation, where the inflation rate is just rising at a lower level. Okay. And then the economy is doing well. Because remember, colleagues, what are the major, how can I put it? For every economy, what is every economy looking for? The four major things every economy is looking for. Mr. Kasono? What is every economy trying to achieve? Maybe let me start with one. They want low unemployment. Every economy wants low unemployment. That, yes, the macroeconomic goals for every nation, yes. Low unemployment. What else, colleagues?
I think from just today's topic, the inflation itself, it must be low or
Yes.
stable,
Yes.
not too high. We become Zimbabwe.
Yes, thank you. Yes. So, stable inflation. What else? So unemployment, stable inflation. What else?
Maybe is it less what? Less what's this? Less imports
Yes,
and
yes.
more exports.
Yes, yes. Trade surplus. So they mentioned three: stable inflation, unemployment, trade surplus, more exports. Which other one? GDP output.
How about high productivity?
Yes, high productivity. Okay, that's why a nation like China is how can I say, it's exceeding. Okay, it's winning. Why? Because they produce. China produces basically for everybody. If you're a nation that produces, okay, not you produce the raw materials. We're talking about finished goods. Okay. Finished goods. They're producing finished goods. Okay, that's a good thing. Alright. Yes. So those are the four major macroeconomic goals. Even what's this, a strong currency. Okay. So please always remember those four goals. Okay. So how we measure inflation is the consumer price index. I will show you next time when we meet. Today I just want to do the theory part. I will show you how we calculate this consumer price index, okay? But basically the concept is the Central Statistics of Zambia gather information of what goods are bought by the average household here in Zambia. Okay, tea, bread, sugar, daily meal. You got petrol, juice, yes. So those goods, they put in what's called a basket of goods. Okay. Then they track the price level of those goods there using this CPI. Okay. Which I'm going to show you when we meet next week. I'm going to look at macroeconomics. Okay. But just remember, consumer price index, even the producer price index. Now here you're looking at from a producer's perspective. Okay, what they purchase also. Okay, on average what the producers purchase, put it in a basket of goods and you track the price levels. Okay. Yes. And also the GDP deflator. Those are the three main methods of measuring inflation. CPI, PPI, and GDP deflator. Are we okay with that?
Just say them again, sir.
CPI, PPI, and GDF.
The number 2 is what?
PPI.
TPI.
PPI.
Oh, okay.
Producer Price Index. Okay.
Then the last one?
GDP deflator. GDP deflator, remember I taught you that one already. And then there's the consumer price index. Okay, as you can see here, producer price index, GDP deflator. Okay, those are the main methods of measuring inflation. I hope we all remember GDP deflator. Everyone was there that time. So will we need to review it next week when we're looking at this? Will we need to review the GDP deflator? Okay, it seems we won't need to.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll review it.
Yes.
We'll review it. Right, yes. Yes, then types of inflation. Yes, you have got demand pull inflation. This is where spending within the economy increases. Either consumers are spending, businesses are spending, government is spending, or foreigners are spending. Okay. Either remember that formula: C plus I plus G plus X. These are the what can cause this demand pull inflation. C, consumer spending. I, business spending, that's investment. G, government spending. X minus M, this is net exports. Okay. Foreigner spending. Okay. Any of these will cause demand pull inflation. Okay. Demand pull inflation is the type of inflation which you would want for the short run. Okay, because as I said, this gives an incentive for businesses to produce more because demand is increasing. So the businesses will try to produce more to cater for that demand. So as the businesses are catering for that demand, by producing more, GDP goes up. As they are producing more, they have hired new workers, so unemployment has gone down. Right? Two goals already reached. Okay, GDP up, unemployment down. Okay. Yes. Balance of payments. If the GDP is up, you would hope the balance of payments also goes up. Okay? Balance of payments can also go up. So the only bad side is just you have inflation. That's all. Okay, one goal won't be met. Okay. Yes. So those are the causes of demand pull inflation, and these are the effects in the short run, okay, colleagues? Because you have to talk about the causes, the effects, then also now how this can be controlled. Okay. So are we okay with the causes for demand pull inflation? We're okay with them? The C plus I plus G plus X minus M, those are the causes. Okay. The effects, GDP rises because since there's more demand, businesses want to produce more, so they'll produce more, eventually GDP rises. As they are producing more, they've brought in new workers, so unemployment levels go down. Okay. The only effect you remain with is the inflation. Okay. Price levels will be growing. Okay, so how to combat this demand pull inflation? Okay, last time when we were looking at classical economics, I think I said this. I hope someone remembers. If government and the central bank don't step in, theoretically, how will the demand pull inflation drop? Actually, it won't even drop because there will be more. The only effect is supply is only going to drop, but you still have higher price levels. Okay, so yes, against now government and the central bank to come in. Okay, so this is the way government and the central bank fight demand pull inflation. Last time I used the term fiscal policy. It's a topic on its own, but it's better you get to know what it's about right now here. So when we reach it, we just cruise over it. Colleagues, what do we say fiscal policy is?
This is how government influences the economy through spending and taxes.
Wonderful, Madam Yvonne. Wonderful. That's correct. Okay. How government influences the economy. Okay. And we said fiscal policy is of two types. Okay. Contractionary and expansionary. So when we say contractionary fiscal policy, what do you think happens to spending and taxes? Remember, contractionary, contracting. So what happens to spending and taxes? Mr. Boniface, are you there? Okay, not there. Madam Lavette, we haven't heard you today. What happens to spending and government spending and taxes when we talk about contractionary fiscal policy?
I'm following, sir.
So if you are following, you're able to answer this one, right? Maybe give us a wonderful explanation with even a practical example. Mr. Nelson?
I'm available, sir.
Yes. What, when we say contractionary fiscal policy, what do we mean? When we say government has to contract, contraction, remember contraction, there's expansion and contraction. So when you say your spending has contracted, it means this, you lower your spending, right? You lower your spending. Government lowers spending. Okay? Then taxes. Government can hit in two ways. Can hit with income taxes. Okay? It can increase them so that your disposable income should drop. So when your disposable income drops, you spend less. Okay, so with taxes, government can increase taxes so that disposable income drops. Because what you're trying to do is you want to cool down the spending. Okay, so if government has projects, maybe you find the project is on hold for a while, the government is not going to recruit that year teachers, nurses, doctors. Okay, that's contractionary fiscal policy. When there's demand pull inflation, this is where government can implement contractionary fiscal policy theoretically. Okay, because it just doesn't mean if government drops spending, overall spending in the economy will just drop. No, the economy is dynamic. Okay, it's very dynamic. Okay, but that's what the economists are going to tell the Minister of Finance when he's preparing the budget, that spending should cool down. Are we okay with that, colleagues? Then expansionary fiscal policy, when you're in a then the economy is under a recession or a depression, then government now.
I think it could be interesting to just know what the word recession and depression was.
The GDP
can be asked what is
down.
recession.
Output is going down, GDP output, and unemployment levels are dropping. So a recession is just maybe for a short while, a short period. Now if it goes for a long time, okay, it's a depression, yeah. That's when the economy is going down, Mr. Akason, okay? Output is dropping, unemployment levels are going down, okay? Yes. Sometimes price level can go down, other times, especially if you have cost push inflation, which is the worst case scenario, output has gone down, unemployment has gone up, and now you also have inflation on top of that. That is a nightmare for any economy. Okay. Yes. At least output is going down, unemployment up, but at least inflation there should be some form of deflation so that people are managing to stay by.
Interesting.
Yes. So expansionary fiscal policy, that's where it comes in now. Okay, even when COVID hit, because a lot of people had to stay at home and everything, so spending, governments had to find a way of keeping money circulating. Okay, because economies would have gone down. Okay, so that's how. Then the central bank, how they come in is what we call monetary policy. Okay, monetary policy. Colleagues, what do you say monetary policy is last time? Madam Yvonne, save us. How the central bank influences the economy with the money supply and interest rates. Okay, interest rates and the money supply. Okay, when you hear the monetary policy rate, Bank of Zambia, you say when you hear the monetary policy rate has increased, just to know one of the reasons could be is inflation. Okay. So when the monetary policy rate increases, what it means is now the central bank has told other commercial banks increase your interest rates. When commercial banks increase the interest rates, what happens to the big borrowers and the big spenders? Would you be willing to go and borrow more if the bank increases the interest rates? No, you wouldn't want to borrow more. Okay? So the central bank doesn't want excessive borrowing. They also want to cool down, because also then they're just, what they're eventually trying to do is spending should cool down. Okay? So apart from increasing interest rates, okay, the central bank can also change the money supply, okay, through open market operations. Okay, colleagues, open market operations, where them and the commercial banks are trading money and treasury bills. Okay, so if the central bank wants to pull money out of circulation, it's going to sell treasury bills to the commercial banks. When it sells these treasury bills to the commercial banks, it pulls out money from their reserves. So when it's pulling out money from their reserves, these commercial banks have less money to borrow out. And when they have less money to borrow out, what happens to the interest rates? Mr. Emmanuel?
Would they go high?
They go high. Okay? Think of it like this. If you have got 100,000, you can borrow your friend a 20,000 at 0% interest. Because you've got 100,000. Now if you've got a 5,000 and your friend comes to borrow, tries to borrow money from you 100 kwacha, you will charge them even a 50% interest rate. So if there's demand for inflation, the central bank sells these treasury bills to the commercial banks. What I'm not sure about is if the commercial banks can say no to buying them. Okay, I don't know if it's mandatory or what. Okay. Anybody who works for Bank of Zambia here or in a commercial bank? If you know anyone who works in a commercial bank, ask them about the open market.
I'm not too sure, but it should be mandatory. It should be mandatory.
So that's how, yes. So that's how the central bank is removing money out of circulation. Less money in circulation, less spending. Less spending, eventually aggregate demand simmers down. Okay. And then also the central, so if there's demand for inflation, yeah, the central bank will sell these treasury bills. It also increase the monetary policy rate. And another thing it can also do, it reduces what is called the required reserve ratio. Okay, when we reach the topic of banking, okay, this you would have known this term. Required reserve ratio. Okay. This, colleagues, is just the percentage of money the bank should keep when you deposit. Okay. The required reserve ratio. This is the percentage of money the bank should keep when you make a deposit. So if they say the required reserve ratio is 20%, if you deposit a 1,000, 200 kwacha, it will be kept. The other 800 kwacha, the bank is going to borrow it out. Okay? Yes. Borrow it out, make more interest than you on it, and just give you a small share of that interest. Imagine that, colleagues. Your money has been borrowed out and you're getting a less interest. Is that fair?
What, sir? Your money has been borrowed out and they're getting less interest.
Yes. The bank has borrowed your money out, and whereas they even charged the 30% interest. Okay. And when that 30% interest comes in, probably you're getting a 1%.
1% is bad.
So the central bank can increase this required reserve ratio. Okay? If it increases it, it means the banks have to keep more money and loan out less money. And if banks have less money to loan out, they increase interest rates. And when interest rates increase, there is less borrowing. And when there's less borrowing, there's less investment spending by businesses, government spending, and even consumer spending. Although I don't think as consumers we borrow really like to spend. Okay, maybe the spending can be on these getting new assets or whatever. So yes, even the consumers will borrow less and spend less. Yes. So that is contractionary monetary policy. Okay, contractionary monetary policy, required reserve ratio goes up, money supply goes down through the open market operations. Yes, and interest rates, the monetary policy rate go up. Okay, this is contractionary monetary policy. Do not worry, it's a topic on its own, so we'll get there. Yes, that's how the central bank will fight demand pull inflation. They'll cool off the spending so that the inflation is left unchecked. All right. Any questions before we just finalize with cost push inflation? Because I know we've got work tomorrow. Okay, cost push inflation, as the name states, it's costs that are driving the price level up. Okay, costs of raw materials, energy costs, right? Wages also. Okay. Types of cost push inflation. You've got wage push inflation. Colleagues, have you ever heard of this term? Wage push inflation. Okay, workers are demanding higher wages. They are saying, oh, the inflation is going up, want higher wages. Wages are driving costs to go up for the businesses. So what does the business do? Increases the price of the goods they are selling. So when the cost of wages goes up, you can also have cost push inflation. If you have a natural disaster, you can have cost push inflation. If you have trade embargoes. Colleagues, what is a trade embargo? What is a trade embargo? This is what caused the 1973 oil crisis. The Middle East put a trade embargo on America and I think also Britain. What is a trade embargo, colleagues? Right now, Iran has literally put an embargo right now. Yes, Mr. Twambo, are you there? What's a trade embargo? Madam Kathy? Mr. Kasono?
It's, first of all, it's the first time I'm hearing that word. If I just think about it, you're saying this is what Iran has done, no?
Okay, trade embargo is when a government refuses to trade with other governments or other nations. Like if Iran says we'll stop selling oil to United States. Okay, that's a trade embargo. I don't know if they've implemented one right now, but in 1973, the Middle East faced a trade embargo. That's why there was that oil crisis. Okay. Because oil is used by many businesses for operations. Okay.
So what's the spelling for that same word?
EMBARGO. Even tariffs.
So what did you say?
A trade embargo, when a nation refuses to trade with another nation. Okay. Even if you go back to history, if you look at Haiti, the nation that was colonized by France, okay, when they got their independence, okay, there was an embargo placed on their economy. They couldn't sell their produce. They were told no one should trade with this country. And that's how the economy just spiraled down from that time. Okay. So trade embargoes, even tariffs. Okay, tariffs can also cause cost-push inflation, especially if your raw materials are they are imported, okay, and other vital resources are imported. Tariffs can also cause cost-push inflation. Okay. So remember, cost-push inflation is just the cost of something that is driving prices up. Okay. So we're going to look at now ways the government can come in to fight cost-push inflation. What is one way government can fight cost-push inflation? Think of it like the government of Zambia right now. We are seeing cost-push inflation is going to be coming from the Iran war. What can the government do to alleviate this?
I've forgotten the term. The one, what did our late Michael Chiruka Sata remove? He was saying that the rich people are benefiting a lot. What is that? I've forgotten the term, but that's one way.
Wait, what did he do eventually? He raised, what did he do?
No, he like for fuel, we were buying at a lower cost because the government was putting on top.
Oh, subsidized.
So he removed that. The dyes, yes.
The government is in of subsidizing, where they are incurring part of the cost so that you as the citizen don't feel the full brunt of the price increase. The government comes in and makes your life easy. Now there's one problem with subsidizing, because that man government is using to pay for these things so that prices are stable for us. You could have used it also for something else. So it also depends on what government will be subsidizing. But yes, that's why subsidies. Thank you, Mr. Kasono. What other thing can government do? So here in the government of Zambia, they can subsidize the fuel. Okay, so that, as we are not feeling the full pain of this war. What else can they do? Because remember, if you can answer this, then you should be one of the political advisors for the president. can explain this, then you know macroeconomics. Well, you can also speak on the national level and say, this is what we can do. Yes, Mr. Emmanuel, what can government do apart from subsidies? We can try to look for different suppliers. Okay, if since we're always getting our fuel from Tanzania and then it's coming here, we might find maybe suppliers who are bringing fuel from Nigeria or fuel from Venezuela, because the Iran fuel is expensive, so you look for other suppliers, okay, so that you maybe can find a cheaper cost.
We can't hear you, Mr. Emmanuel. I don't know if he's talking or he's muted.
Mr. Emmanuel, could you kindly get your mic?
Okay.
Yes, I was saying that what was I saying, police? I've even forgotten now. Mr. Emmanuel, you've disturbed me. What did I say, Mr. Kasson?
That you to find other suppliers.
Oh yes, trying to find other suppliers or alternative sources of energy. Okay. Try to find alternative sources of energy, because the fuel and energy costs work hand in hand. Okay. So the government can try to find alternative sources or invest in alternative sources so that should this happen in the future, we've got a backup plan. What else, Colin? Apart from subsidies, Zambia as a government can also lower taxes. So that businesses can breathe at least. Okay, that tax cost should drop. Yes, colleagues. I think we can pause here for today.
Mr. Moro. Hello, Mr. Moro. Yeah, just kindly summarize your last points. On my side, your sound was fading away, so I could not get you what you were saying concerning the government subsidies.
Oh yes, government can like purchase fuel, okay, take on the majority of the cost, so that as the normal citizens, we don't feel the full effect of the price increment. Okay. That's what they can do to subsidize. And then when they remove the subsidies, people start to complain because you feel the price.
Yes.
The problem with if you subsidize too much, the people get used to it. So when you remove it, it's just like telling your child doesn't want to shift out because they don't want to be paying rent. Then so you are subsidizing their rent there. And you tell them that now it's time to move out. No more subsidy on the rent. How will the child feel? That is how the citizen will feel.
So the last point was what? Subsidy, look for different suppliers. The last one was what?
Alternative suppliers, alternative sources of energy. preparing taxes. I think so far that's what that was a mission. Okay, you can Google the other ones, okay? You can Google the other ones so that when we meet next time, when we meet, at least Madam Lavette should say something. Madam Diana also, you haven't said anything today. Madam Betha, Madam Alinau. Can you go through those
Oh,
notes?
today I have like a headache.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Just go through the notes I've said, okay?
Mr. Mola.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Mola. I'm kind of asking, maybe if you could also share the hard copy of the presentation.
Hard copy.
Yes, I saw. I don't know if it's there. Apart from the
soft copies.
The soft copies you said, or the videos. Maybe just that one. I saw something, the one we were using for the theory. If you can share the hard copy as well.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Just let me compile it because I'm trying to make pamphlets.
And give it to me.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
To go with it together.
So that third year